Hi and welcome to Outwell and to the Bear Lake 6 from our classic collection. You can see here that it's a large tunnel design tent and it's aimed to sleep up to 6 people. It has 2 bedrooms across the back, a large sealed living space and this extended canopy at the front here, all of which we will show you in detail shortly. But first I want to talk you through the details on the outside. So for me, I think one of the most important things about this particular tent is the fly sheet that we're using on here. This is our Outex AirTech material. So this is a technical cotton or poly cotton material, and the split here is 65% cotton and 35% polyester. So the thing about poly cotton is it has a few different properties to it that I think are very worth pointing out. The first would be how long lasting it is. Because it's a sort of mix of natural and synthetic material, you will find that this tent is going to last a real long time, certainly under sunlight and UV degradation. It's a much stronger material, so you will find that it will last for a long time. The second thing about this material is that it's actually very breathable. So if you're away in warmer climates, then this will keep you a lot more comfortable inside the tent. But actually it works vice versa as well. So if you're in a colder environment, it'll actually keep you warmer inside. And that's just due to the material reacting to different temperatures and being breathable or shrinking down to keep the warm air inside. Next, I think it's worth pointing out that this tent is naturally waterproof. Now we do put a coating on here to allow light rainfall to sort of bead off of the material, but it will actually seal itself. And to do that, all that needs to happen is the tent just needs to get wet and dry a few times, and it will actually, in the course of that, seal itself and become waterproof. So next I want to talk to you about the frame. So from front all the way to the back here, we are using a steel frame throughout. So really simple and easy to put together. There's only one pole that's of a different length, which is at the back, and we do colour code that pole to the sleeve to make sure that when you're pitching the tent it's really easy. But with it being a steel frame, you will find that it's a very sturdy and solid structure, and this is added to because we use our wind stabiliser on this. So this is what these Velcro tabs here are. I'll talk you through how it works. When you're setting the tent up, all we have to do is just wrap these around the poles like this and then fasten into place like that. You have one at the top and at the bottom of every pole around the frame of the tent itself, and this is where we then have the guy lines attached. When we pull the guy lines out and peg them into place, it takes the fly sheet much closer against the frame of the tent, making the whole thing more taut and much more stable. So just as a reminder then, this tent is certainly a weather-beating tent. It is naturally waterproof once it's been wet and dry a few times, and it has a real solid frame on here and our wind stabiliser to ensure that it will stand up in pretty severe weather. So next, I mentioned the guy lines there, so I'll just highlight them now. We're using our floating guy lines on this tent, so that's where we have 2 different points to the guy line. So the top half of it here is obviously black, and that ties in with the trim of the tent, but then at the bottom we have the luminous guy line at the bottom, so you shouldn't trip over these when it's dark. Now the floating aspect just comes from a distance actually with the black guy line tying in with the trim of the tent. From a distance it actually looks like that luminous guy line at the bottom is floating. So the guy lines all have their own retainers as well. Just on here you'll see this loop on there, so when it comes to packing the tent down we can wrap up the guy lines and pop them in here, so the next time you come to use the tent they're easily accessible. So some other things to talk you through then. We have our ventilation panels on the side here. There is some here and on the other side as well. And just under here you'll see there's a strip of mesh to allow cool fresh air into the tent. Even though the material is breathable, we still give you ventilation to aid that as well. So if it gets a little bit too chilly, you can just easily get rid of these by removing the Velcro tabs on the side and then just pushing down like so. We also have large windows around the tent, so on the sides and on the front. You can see here it's a really good size, but it's a tinted window as well. It's a black tint on this, so it serves 2 key functions. One is to reduce the glare from the sun inside, but secondly, and probably more importantly, you get great privacy within this tent as well. So what I want to do next is just talk to you about the front sort of canopy area on this tent here. Now it does come as part of the tent, but when you set it up, all you have to do is zip this into place. Of course, you'll be able to see this in our setup videos online. But what this actually gives you is a great outside space. So whether that's a living space or whether it's just a sort of shelter or shade, something like that, you've got certainly plenty of space within here, and it's a great height as well. You can see in here. Great space for maybe a table and chairs on a nice hot sunny day so you can get the shade, but even if it's a little bit drizzly, this is certainly going to give you a huge amount of coverage here. What that then allows us to do is give you a complete flat front to this tent here, and what that does is just increases the usable space within the tent. So what I mean by that is, with there not being any slope to the front of the tent here, you've got all this space at the front here which is completely usable and full stand-up height straight away into the entrance of the tent. So at the front, as I said, we've got large tinted windows on either side of the door, and the door itself also has a large tinted window on there. It is a D-door style, so obviously you can see that it zips open and rolls away to the side, which just means it's a little bit easier to access. Now what I want to highlight here is behind the outer door, there is then a mesh door in place here. So you should be able to just see that there. And this actually zips into place as well. So again, even though the material is very breathable, you actually have a mesh door here, and there's some more which I'll show you shortly within the tent as well, which is going to aid in ventilation. So stepping into the tent itself, should hopefully see here just how much space we have. We have one of the largest tables that we have in our collection in here, and a couple of chairs around it, and you'll see there is still loads of space in here. We have some storage over here and a large empty space here. So certainly lots of living space within this area. Lots of head height too. I'm around 1.95 m and I can stand up absolutely no problem at all. There's plenty of room above my head here. So as I said earlier on, there are large windows, and I think that really accentuates the feel of space in here. Even though they're tinted, they will allow enough light in. So you can just see here that if you do want some privacy, there are curtains at the bottom of the windows. So we have it rolled away at the moment, but we then have Velcro points halfway up, so you can bring the curtains halfway, or of course you can fully close them as well. And I'll just highlight at the top there the strip of mesh for the ventilation purposes that we pointed out from the outside. So some other features then, we have a handy lantern hanging point in the middle of the tent. We actually have one of our Corvus strip lights attached to it at the moment, but this will take smaller lanterns and things like that. And then you can see that we're utilising the cable tidy, which runs all the way down the side and down to a cable entry point down here, so you can actually bring the power into the tent without having the door open as we have here. So you can see that there is actually a side door on here. At the moment we have the full mesh zippable door in place. There is one on the other side as well, so that's what I was mentioning earlier. We actually have 3 full mesh doors on here for great ventilation, or great through ventilation within the tent. This area is actually a fully sealed area from front to back and side to side, so the ground sheet is completely sealed in here, and you can see here that it's coming up around the edges. So that's going to stop any drafts from coming in at a low level. It's going to stop things like dirt and dust and sand blowing into the living area, and hopefully keep out those unwanted bugs as well. I also just want to highlight that at the front of the ground sheet where the front door is, we have a flat entrance on here, and that obviously just allows easy access in and out of the tent. Now there is a zip along the front of that, so what you can do is just unpeg at the sides here and fold that up and zip it to the front door for a good seal at the front of the tent. At the back is where the bedrooms are located, and as I said before, this tent can sleep up to 6 people across 2 bedrooms. So we actually have a 4-person bedroom and a 2-person bedroom. So it actually gives a really, really good size space in one of them, and a very reasonable 2-person compartment on this side here. The way that the bedrooms are hung in is using our wave-shaped hanging point system. So yes, this has a really nice sort of style and look to it, but it actually has a great function as well, as taking the stress off the top seam of the bedroom itself. You can see we are using our stripes on these bedrooms to tie in with the feel of the tent, giving you that home away from home sort of feel. And then on the outside we have some handy storage pockets as well. I also then want to highlight that the bedroom doors have full zippable mesh doors on here as well, and you can see that these are no-seam mesh. So what that means is it's a black mesh, so you get great privacy in the bedroom even when it's just the mesh. If you want full privacy, then you can close the door over just by zipping that. Inside the bedrooms there's plenty more features as well. We have some handy storage pockets along the sides of both bedrooms. Across the back there's a really large ventilation panel which corresponds to outside ventilation on the fly sheet. And here you can then see that we are separating the bedroom with a full zipped piece of material. So this is what gives you your 4-person and your 2-person compartments. But if you do want one large bedroom back here, then that is really simple just to open up to give you that space. We're then also using our universal inner, which is what the zip down the middle of the tent compartment at the back here is for, and we'll just show you now how that works. So we have a few optional extras available for the Bear Lake 6, which would be the fleece carpet that you can see in the living area here, just giving you that extra bit of comfort and insulation underfoot. There's also a footprint to go under this ground sheet, which is really important if you want to keep the ground sheet clean and dry on those wet and muddy days. And we actually have an extension available for this tent as well, which would just go on in place of this canopy that has full sides. So there you go then, that's all the features of our Bear Lake 6 from our classic collection. Thank you very much for watching.